Alright, hey everyone, and welcome back. So you may have noticed we've got a brand new and updated intro for the channel. So I've been working on and off it for about the last 3 weeks. It took a tremendous amount of time to get all the layers done for the characters, to put them all in one picture. My vision was kind of the Sonic the Comic characters are jumping literally like out of a panel from their world and into ours. So you've got all the Sonic heroes in the middle, and you've got some of Sonic's friends and adversaries that have already escaped around the sides and bottom. All of the artwork I've used is Richard Elson's, of course, and for those that are interested in maybe having a little bit more fun with it, I've actually created a checklist which I'm going to pin as the top comment in the comment section below. Kind of imagine what the Where's Wally or Where's Waldo, depending on which region you live in, books are like. So you look through it and you find all of the characters and hidden little details that are around there. So for those that want a little bit more fun with it, that's going to be there. I'm probably going to post it as a community tab as well. So getting on with the video at hand, today is May 29th, and if you're a Sonic the Comic fan, you know how important this date is. That is because today is the 27th anniversary of Sonic the Comic. That's right, 27 years ago today, Sonic the Comic issue 1 hit newsagents, and it kind of literally changed the Sonic comic landscape. For a little fun fact, today, May 29th, is actually also the birthday of the main writer for Sonic the Comic, Nigel Kitching. What are the chances of that, right? So, with the topic of the video at hand, I thought I'd do something a little bit different today for the anniversary video. I've done sort of anniversary themed videos in the past before. I get this question a lot, whether it's on live streams or just comments on videos. And that is, what is my favourite issue of Sonic the Comic? Now, I have answered this the question, many times in either the live streams or comments, but I've never really gone into it in detail. So, my favourite issue of Sonic the Comic is this one right in front of you, and I'm going to show you. It is issue 27. Now, there's quite a few reasons why this is my favourite issue of Sonic the Comic, and I'm going to go through it as kind of detailed as I possibly can. This issue means a lot to me, it really, really does. Firstly, this was the very first issue of Sonic the Comic that I ever got. My memories are a little bit vague obviously back then, because this was 26 years ago pretty much, almost 26 years ago, because this is actually the first anniversary issue of Sonic the Comic. So, from what I can remember, I was just starting to become a fan of the Sonic games around that time, really getting into it, and I don't know if I owned really any merchandise around then at that time, so this may well have been one of the very first pieces of actual Sonic merchandise and media itself that I got into. I could probably say this comic kind of got me into the Sonic universe in general. It really, really did. I mean, if I never got this issue, it's true I may well have got another Sonic comic issue down the road, but this one kind of really, really drew me into that world, and there's a few reasons because of that. Number one, the strip inside. It was a tremendously awesome story to get into, being the very first Sonic comic to ever pick up. So I don't remember the exact day I picked this issue up, or I should say it was bought for me. But what I do know was that these issues were released fortnightly, and each issue kept on newsagents' shelves or in supermarkets for 2 weeks. So this issue originally first come out the 10th of June 1994, and it would have been on the shelves for 2 weeks after that date. So it would have been around those 2 weeks that I originally got this issue. So a very long time ago now. It's pretty crazy that it's been like almost 26 years, as I say. So before I take the comic out of the sleeve, let's just have a little look at the front itself, because there's a few interesting parts to this comic, and even more so now why it's even more so special to me. Now, as I've already said, this was the first anniversary issue of Sonic the Comic. As you can see, it says right there, it's STC's first birthday. Now, the cover artist for this issue was Flynn. Now, he did a lot of Sonic the Comic cover arts. In fact, he did over 50 for Sonic the Comic. And I met him some years ago, and I actually managed to get him to sign the front cover for me, which, you know, this is his signature right here. Now talk about add nostalgia even more so to this issue. And nostalgia in general, right, let's talk about that. Nostalgia to a lot of people will kind of automatically make something better than maybe what other people might look at it as. It's a bit of a tricky thing because what you might look as great might just seem great because of your nostalgia to it. I kind of think it's a little bit more than that for me than just nostalgia, because the strip inside and the issue is it's brilliant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this issue out of sleeve and let's have a little look through it page by page, and let's talk about some of the memories I've got with it. Right, so here we go. I've got it out of the sleeve, which I have all of my Sonic the Comic issues in. If you're planning on being a Sonic the Comic collector, or you're about to start collecting, I'd really recommend getting these backing boards and sleeves to keep them in as good condition as you possibly can, because these issues are only getting rarer and rarer as the years go on, because these are really old comics now when you think about it. So, let's get straight underway. Let's open this up. And let's just have a little look over here at the start here. As with all of the Sonic the Comic strips, at least around this time, we've got charts here for what the top selling games were on the Sega systems at that time. Okay, so let's get to the very first strip. Now this story has so much nostalgia to me. This is the Sonic Terminator Part 4, and what an amazing story to get into for your first Sonic the Comic issue. So obviously it's based off the video game Sonic CD. This was the game tie-in, and Nigel and Richard did an absolute amazing job with this game adaptation. Now you might notice at the top here there's another squiggly line, and that is because I've got Richard Elson to sign the strip inside here for me to add it that much more awesome to this issue. So, if you're familiar with my channel, you've probably seen this story. You may even have watched it, read it hundreds of times. It really speaks for itself. We've got an absolute awesome artwork and panels here, and a really, really great fight between Sonic and Metallics, or Metal Sonic. And I really always love this last panel of this strip, because it's just got such a really good illustration of Metallics there as he has increased his size. Now, it took me years before I was able to get issue 28, so I can't remember exactly what my next issue I picked up after this was. I'm pretty certain it was around the Sonic 3 game adaptation arc started, so we had Knuckles being introduced. So it took years and years before I found out the conclusion of this story, which would have been issue 28. And obviously I finally ended up getting the issue and reading it, and I was very happy, of course. But the anticipation I had of actually reading the conclusion of this story, it went on for years. I can't remember how many years, but it went on for years. Before the days of the internet, of course, where you could just simply go up and look or read a review or something. So we've got some reviews here of some games. I can't say I've ever owned any of these ones. And we've got advertisement here for one of the poster mags. So this would have been around, this was actually issue 4, so we were up to the 4th issue of poster mags. And the poster mags were really hard to get a hold of. They really didn't release many of these things in newsagents. I can't remember seeing many of them back in the era. I managed to pick up a few of them from the actual newsagents, but as the poster mags went on, they released a total of 9. But once it reached poster mag issue 7, they were really hard to get a hold of. So 7, 8 and especially 9. In fact, issue 9 of the poster mags, I honestly would say is the rarest issue to get a hold of from the entirety of the Sonic the Comic issues they released. That's all 223 issues and any of the other spin-offs. Honestly, issue 9 is one of the hardest to get a hold of. So then we come to the Streets of Rage stories. So quite appropriate really, as we've just had Streets of Rage 4 come out, which is a really awesome game, and I'd really recommend it. Now, I didn't really have much appreciation for the non-Sonic strips around this time. In fact, most of the time I'd usually skip them because I hadn't really played any of the Streets of Rage games then, and I was just solely interested in reading Sonic. So now we get to the new zone where we'd have previews for upcoming games or anything Sega related that they was about to release, such as any add-ons or new consoles. Here we have a really awesome, talk about throwback, the subscribe to STC, and I don't know why I never asked to have a subscription for this comic series back then. It never really occurred to me to ask my parents or whoever to get a subscription. I'm not sure why, but maybe it was just more fun back then to go to the newsagents to get this every 2 weeks. We got an advert, which is actually an advert for Tower Bridge in London, Expedition Open Day. Look at that, admission £3.50 for children and £5 for adults. I can guarantee you it's not that price anymore, it's probably quadruple. And then we come to another really nostalgia story to me. Basically, Sonic the Comic was really selling well at this point, and Nigel Kitching wanted a kind of a cap of the story to give the readers all the information they needed to get up to scratch with the Sonic the Comic world. So this one featured the people call him Fleetway Supersonic, how he was created, his origin, and also the very first encounter between Sonic and Tails. Here he is saving him. So you can imagine this being the very first piece of Sonic media you've ever gotten read. It really gets you caught up with the world here. Now back then I didn't really know that this was its own continuity. You know, literally I kind of thought this was what the games were from. You don't really know much better, you're a kid, right? And we've got another advert here for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, which is an absolutely awful film. But look at that, look at this advert. Available at Woolworths, WH Smith's, John Menzies, HMV. So, a lot of these shops don't even exist anymore. Woolworths doesn't exist. I don't even know what John Menzies is. Our Price, Boots is still around. Virgin Megastores isn't. Neither is Blockbuster Video. Tower Records. Yeah. So here we got the hints and cheats section for games. Dr. Robotnik's Beam Machine here. Love that game too. And then we come to Wonderboy. And this is a story that I grew to appreciate a lot more as the years went on. Again, as it was a non-Sonic strip, I kind of skimmed over these and didn't really get interested in them. It was only years later when I went back to them and read them, and I was like, you know what, these are actually really good stories. And then we've got the Speedline section, where people sent in their questions or feedback, and sometimes they would be printed in here, and whoever got as printed in here, you would receive a prize. Kind of the prizes changed as the years went on through the comic's life, but at this time it was this Tomy Sonic Water game. And then we've got a preview for the next issue. As we see, Tails is back. And here is they put these feedback sections here at the end for Sonic the Comic, and you could write this all in, send it off, and you know, you could put your score of what the issue was, what you liked, what you didn't, and then you put a percentage of how you rated it. Now I never ever did one of these, never, and the main reason for that is because I couldn't bring myself to cut the back panel of this issue art, literally destroying it. I just couldn't ever bring myself to it. And then we've got another preview for the next issue. And that is it. So as I said, so much nostalgia to me, but as I said, I don't think it's just the nostalgia for this issue that makes it my favourite issue. You've got an awesome strip featuring the Sonic CD game adaptation. I mean, what a story to get involved in. And obviously years later I eventually managed to pick up the previous issues before this and find out all the stories that I missed up until then. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I've kind of spoken about this issue for I don't know, at least over 10 minutes now this video's gone on for, talking about my history of this issue. I should say that I can go kind of one better with this issue, because some years ago now I actually managed to pick up the original artworks from this strip. I have shown them in a previous video some years ago, but maybe I'll do it again in a future one because it has changed a bit now, my entire collection. Yeah, I managed to get all 7 pages from this strip, the actual original artworks from Richard Elson's vault himself. And that is really, really awesome. As soon as I got them, it's like literally a part of your childhood immortalised, I suppose you could say. But yeah, that's pretty much everything, guys. If you are Sonic the Comic fans that are as old as me now, let me know what your first issue was that got you into this series. And even if you're not an old school Sonic the Comic fan, let me know what your first issue was that you read or picked up. Or even if it's not Sonic the Comic related, some of the other Sonic comic media, let me know what the very first issue you got from the Sonic comic media of the universe. Literally, I'm always interested to find out what other people's experiences were getting into this franchise. It always does fascinate me. I kind of do feel though that if I never did get this issue or any of the other Sonic the Comic issues after this, I may well not have become a Sonic fan, or maybe just not as big a Sonic fan, who knows. It's very unknown, right? If I'd never made that fateful trip to the post office back in 1994, I probably would maybe never have got this issue and never got into the franchise. But that's enough of me rambling on. More videos to come. Stay tuned, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and see you soon.